We begin with some exciting news from space. The first U.S.-built lunar lander in more than 50 years, is now on its way to the moon.
4, 3, we have ignition. And liftoff of the first United Launch Alliance Vulcan rocket.
Astrobotic Technologies' Peregrine lander is being carried into space on board the first flight for the newly developed Vulcan rocket. The lunar lander blasted off overnight from Cape Canaveral, Florida. Now, if all goes according to plan, Astrobotics will become the first private company to land on the moon February 23rd. And this will be the first mission from U.S. soil since the final Apollo mission in 1972. CTV's Scott Hurst is standing by with more for us this morning. Scott, tell us more about the significance of this launch.
Marcia, of course, rocket launches are always incredible spectacles, and this morning was no different, blasting off at 2:18 from Cape Canaveral in Florida. When there's a rocket launch, it's one of those things that you can really feel in your bones from quite a distance away, and also when the launch is in the middle of the night or early morning. In this case, the juxtaposition between the blast and the night sky truly is incredible. And as you mentioned, this is potentially historic for the first time in quite a long time. This is why the stakes are so high. This could be the first commercial lander to touch down on the moon and the first lunar landing mission to launch from the U.S. since the end of the Apollo missions. Now, each of these missions that NASA does in coordination with commercial space operations, they really try to build on themselves, build on each other, learn from the last one for the next mission, as NASA is also looking to send humans back to the surface of the moon later this decade. But before that, this mission will build on another one later this year, the Artemis II mission, which will involve a Canadian astronaut, Jeremy Hansen. Now, that mission specifically is to send a crew around the moon. So that is slated to launch in November. But this mission is an unmanned, uncrewed vessel, which will land on the moon, as you said, in February. Here's more from Astrobotics' CEO.
Ask us as a company to buy a launch vehicle and to build a lander that can deliver their payloads, in this case science payloads, to the surface of the moon. It is 250,000 miles away. It is in the vacuum of space. You are controlling a vehicle that you can't use a joystick with from here on Earth.
So, Marcia, those are the complexities of trying to land on the moon from back here on Earth. But as you said, it should be a couple weeks, and if all goes according to plan, we'll land on February 23rd. So another date to circle on our calendar coming up.
Yeah, it's a busy time in space. So what are the payloads this spacecraft will be carrying, Scott?
Some interesting payloads, some bizarre payloads. Of course, you can expect that the NASA-specific payloads are scientific instruments to help them build, help them learn more about the moon, to gather data for the moon's surface, to help with their mission eventually to get humans back to the surface of the moon. But also some of the other payloads include human remains and DNA samples of some 70 people, including former U.S. Presidents John F. Kennedy, George Washington, and Dwight Eisenhower, as well as human remains and DNA samples of the creator and several cast members of the original Star Trek TV series. So an interesting mix of the payloads going off in this mission, Marcia.
Indeed. All right, Scott, thanks for that. Appreciate it.